All right. Today is Thursday, July 11th, 2024. Bitcoin is at 58,600. And by the title of the video, you can tell we're going to be talking about Bitcoin allocation, risk tolerance, and how I believe it's way, way, way riskier not to have anything in Bitcoin compared to having something. And I think over the past 15 years, since Bitcoin began, I think it's proven itself. I mean, you just look at the price, you look at the charts, you look at the graph. Um, it's way riskier not to have anything in it, rather to have something. Now, I will say this. At one point, crypto, Bitcoin, whatever you want to call it, it was the wild, wild west at one point. I mean, people were getting scammed. There was pump and dumps. You had exchanges like Celsius, BlockFi, FTX. They went bankrupt. Sam Bankman-Fried. I mean, the list goes on and on. It really was the Wild West, and putting your money into it, you really had to be careful. Um, you had to make sure you had step two verification, and there was just a lot going on with it that you really had to be careful with your money. Now that all of that got wiped out, FTX is done. Sam Bankman-Fried, he's in prison, and I'm trying to think what else. I feel like all those sins have been forgiven, justice was served, and you have it's ever since the ETFs were approved, I feel like we got rid of all that stuff, you know. And now, with the ETF approval of January of this year, now you can finally see some institutional money coming in, which hasn't even come in yet. And we're talking big players. We're talking BlackRock, Fidelity, Charles Schwab. You have billionaires like Michael Dell. He's talking about it. You know, these are big fish in this pond that are coming in with a lot of money, just a lot of money. And but since we, got rid of, all that toxic waste that was in, Bitcoin and crypto, I can see why a lot of people were hesitant or scared to get into it, because they really gave, Bitcoin and crypto a bad name. But now that they're all out, if you just look at the chart over how it's performed, it's outperformed every asset over the last 15 years. Every asset, real estate, stock market, bond, you name it, outperformed it. And I think over the next 10, 15, 20 years, it's going to do the same thing. As it keeps getting adopted, you can use this as a store of value. And over the past 15 years, it's done what, an average of 150% annual return. That's an average, 150%. Now I know going forward, you're not going to see, these crazy, 1000x returns that you did in the past when it first started. I get that, but you're still going to see a lot better than an average of a 10% return that you would see with an index fund or an 8% return. So I think it's way riskier not to have anything in it. And if you look at the talking heads on TV, they all say the same thing. A lot of them say it's too risky to go in. Some of them say 1 to 3% allocation. It's like, in what world? What are you talking about? Like, 1 to 3% is nothing. It's way too low. I will say, if you have never been in the space, just get off zero. Just get off zero. That's probably the first thing you need to do. Just put something into it. Anything. Find $1 in the couch and put it into it. Because even if you don't understand it, when you have money in the game, you'll start to pay attention. You'll start to read the articles. You'll start to watch the videos. You'll start to look at the price, look at the graphs. And it's just a snowball effect. And I've noticed the more time you spend in the space, the more time you spend in Bitcoin, you start to allocate more and more. That's what happened with me. I started off with barely anything in it, and over the years, I just increased, and we went from 5% to 10% to 20 to now it's pretty much. I mean, besides the money for our monthly bills, it's all in there. And no, I'm not going to diversify because I think diversifying is worsifying. I think it's a terrible. And Kathy Wood hits on this too. If you see an opportunity for something like Tesla, for example, when it hit 140 or 150, it was a great opportunity to buy. Great stock, and you see the potential of it. It's the same thing with this. Over the next 10, 15 years, as you're seeing it being adopted and nobody can stop it, and it's decentralized, it's digital. I mean, you can send, using Bitcoin, you can send money to someone across the world on a Sunday night, 2 a.m., Christmas Day, without a third party involved. That's amazing. No delay, no wire transfer fee, no third party, nothing. That's amazing. It's a technology that everyone needs. Nobody can stop it and nobody can understand it. I agree with Michael Saylor. And no, I don't think it's a risk having as much as I have in it. I don't think it's a risk at all. Look at Kathy Wood. Kathy Wood announced that she has over 25% of her net worth in Bitcoin. 25%. Not 1 to 3%, 25%. Fred Krueger, who has millions in it, said if he was 30 years old, he would have everything in it, based on how it's doing. I mean, you have... Who else do you have? You have Anthony Papliano. He said over 50% of his portfolios in Bitcoin. So I think personal finance is very personal. It depends on your situation. Some people have no kids. Some people have 10 kids. Some people have a house. Some people don't. Some people have a business. The list goes on and on. So how much you're going to put into it, is very dependent on your situation. But you should put something into it. Just get off of zero, and I think 1 to 3%, 1 to 5%, I think that's way too little, in my opinion. Way too little. I think, not obviously not financial advice. That goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. But I would put way more in, personally. I have put way more in. So put my money where my mouth is, and that's it. Give you guys more videos, more updates. Thanks.